or two. I saw breeze on a June night and what a perfect setting for letting dreams come true.
Well, we're going to try and get another few projects done on the boat. This time I want to remove the windlass. It needs to go in to be re-chromed, and so it'll need to be yanked out and pulled apart. It is chrome over bronze, so right now all that's showing is the bronze, and I also need to replace some parts in it, so we're going to have to collect up some bits. As you can see, it's not very pretty out right now. We had freezing rain all morning, and probably the boat is going to be a little cool to work on, but that's the price we pay here, and we want to keep this project rolling along. So we're going to show you what it's like working in not so balmy temperatures in Canada. So here we go. Every time you do a job on a boat, you've got to move material to make space. It is a tight space, and so that is the case with this job as well. In order for me to get into the anchor locker, I've got to get into the V-berth, and right now it's our garage. So let's get moving that stuff out of there. Okay, well, we got the V-berth all cleared out now, and I got my handy dandy little headlamp, which, by the way, if you're a sailor, buy yourself rechargeable headlamps like this. They can swivel up and down. They're rechargeable. They'll do a strobe light as well, and you can do all kinds of neat projects with them. Never have to hold a flashlight, that's the big thing. And if you've ever dropped one in the bilge, you'll know what I mean. We're going to go forward now and go into the V-berth and see if we can't sort out how to get this windlass disconnected. Now, I've never really looked at it, so I don't know what's going to be involved. So let's go together and we'll see if we can sort that out. Now, this is our anchor locker. And up there is the windlass that we want to disconnect. I got to do a bit of crawling, but I think I can get these. We've got to get the windlass disassembled basically at the top here, and then we'll drop it down through into the anchor locker, and then I can go forward and get it out of there. So this is what it looks like. It's an ideal windlass. They're made in America. Let's get that undone. kind of bent, so we'll have to get that straightened out. But now, this is the tricky part. There is a tool you can use to open this, but I currently cannot find it. So we do this. Okay. This is a preventer that's used for stopping the chain from wrapping all the way around. Little stopper. Remove that. Used to be all nice and shiny at one point. The next thing is this puller. So, how a puller works, you have two different lengths here. You have a short pull and a long pull. Well, in this case, if you look here, once we've extended this threaded shaft all the way out, we're still not going to have enough to pull against that, unless we pull from the bottom, which I don't know if I want to do that. I think I want to pull from up here. So we're going to move these. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to get off my sore old knees. Okay. Now make sure they're all tight so you're not pulling the lip off of there. Okay. Now if you feel a lot of resistance, don't do it. Put some lubricant in there and let it sit for a while. I'm not feeling any resistance really. It's coming up very nicely. I'm not going to damage anything. It might just pull up now. This is one of the problems we had with this windlass. If you look very closely, you'll see how the friction disc is cracked. There is a friction disc right here as well, and it also is cracked. Okay, so we'll carefully lift that off of there. We're gonna have to buy another one of these. Okay. Now, I guess we'll take the key out of there. The key can come out. In order to get this off, you need to apply pressure evenly on both sides so that you don't twist it over to one side or the other, and you should be able to just pop it right off. So let's see. I can feel it coming up. There we go. This guy on this side. Yep. This guy on this side. There we go. So close. lot of pressure on it. You can feel it lifting. I think it's beyond the point where, oh, there we go. Oh, little keyway that sits in right here. We're going to have to pull that out of there. That's why I have the wrench. Now they've got that pin out of there, we're going to go down below again. I've got to loosen off the last nut that's holding the whole affair up, and in theory it should just slide down. The shaft should come out of the floor here, and it should be just a matter of popping those bolts out and we can get the plate as well. So let's give her a whirl. So we've got one more 9/16 nut to pull off the bottom of that windlass, and in theory it should come down. So let's just set you up here. Well, the trick here is going to be not dropping it on my head, because there will be some weight on it. It should slide right down though. No more wires attached. Okay. Okay, I'm going to punch these out. At this stage, it's held on by one bolt right here. And that bolt, for whatever reason, is so badly seized, I don't think it's going to come loose. Okay, let's go topside and see if we can't pull those bolts out from the top. Yep. So we're back at the bow of the boat, and things are looking a little better in here. I got one sticky bolt here. There we go. You might hear a clunk as the motor falls down into the pile of chain, but it should have a soft landing there. Oh boy, that's really stuck. Okay, so this is still not going down, so that tells me that it is being held in by something. Not sure what, but probably just the friction of this plate right here. Well, I hate to leave a job unfinished, but It's about to get dark here very quickly, and that shaft's not coming out, so I'm going to put a plea out to the Bristol Owners Club, see if anybody else can suggest something for me. Bit of a puzzle. Day 2, I did bring home the Ideal catalog and did a little bit of reading, and I did find a spot here, right here. The windlass gearbox and motor should slide into the chain locker. If not, spray with penetrating fluid where the shaft goes through the deck plate. Use a block of wood to protect the top of the shaft and drive it down into the boat. Sometimes the bushing will freeze to the shaft and it has to be driven through the deck plate. So I think that's the situation now, that deck plate actually goes down into the boat. Here, I'll show you what that looks like, so you can kind of get a feel for it. I think this is what we're dealing with here, is this deck plate here. This is actually a bushing, and although the shaft does turn within that bushing, it doesn't slide down easily. So what we're going to do, we've removed this pin, and we're going to take a piece of wood on top and just tap it down. Well, I'm back in the boatyard. Yesterday was a good day. We had got a lot accomplished, but I'm paying for it. The back's sore, my knees are sore, and I'm finding I have a few other muscles that I wasn't aware I had. We call it boga. That's kind of a boat yoga on the boat, getting into confined spaces when you're working on your boat. So if you own a sailboat or even a power boat, you'll probably be very familiar with that term. Anyway, today we're going to try and get that base plate off and see if we can't pry it off of the deck. That's next. Now I want to show you a little trick. I've got a tool here that it's just a fine piece of wire. Can you see that? And it's got 2 sticks on either side. Now, it's essentially a guitar string. This is a store-bought version, but you can make your own quite easily. I need this to get underneath that base plate and break the seal, so I can use this to cut, to loosen off the seal, and then hopefully by tapping it on the top it'll let the motor go through. So I'll show you what I mean. Follow. There we go. Never use 5200 on something like this. Word of wisdom, never use 5200 on a base plate like this, on any fitting on deck really, because once you put it down there, it's virtually impossible to get it up. I mean, it's very probable that we're going to break this before we get it out of there. We're going to try a few different tricks, but very easy to damage stuff. So in the future, 5200, only if you want it glued and never undone again. Fix your dinghy with the stuff. That's a good use for it. But this baby's stuck good. Looks like things are starting to move. I've got that plate just a little bit off of the deck. There we go. Yep. She was stuck down all right. Well, we got that base plate out. We got the hose pipe out. I'm a little worse for wear. I'm ready to go home and have a hot shower and a nap. But I want to give you one more little tip before we go. If you are taking things apart, get yourself some Ziploc bags. Label the bags so you know where all the little parts are when you try to put them back together. Taking stuff apart is not that difficult, but putting it back together is. My mother used to always say about me, he can take stuff apart. I'll leave that with you. Love you, Mom. Well, that would have been a lot easier if it was 80 degrees outside, but needless to say, we got it all done. Just got to drop the ladder there, but I've got all the bits lined up here, ready to go to the chroming shop, and we'll send that motor away and see if we can't get it tuned up a little bit. Lovely day.
Talk to me.